What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review for you guys, and today I am talking about the latest offering from Hammerfall, Avenge the Fallen. This also came out on August 9th, this time on Nuclear Blast Records, and, well, this is yet another album from this long-standing, legendary Swedish power metal / classic heavy metal band. I've gone over a couple of albums in the past, including their last one, Hammer at Dawn, I believe it was called, back in 2022 during an Under the Radar episode, and I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was a pretty solid album, and here we are with yet another album from Hammerfall. So, kicking things off with the title track, which is actually the shortest track of the album. It's about 3.5 minutes, and after some weird noise, it pretty much gets into like chuggy, groovy, classic heavy metal like Judas Priest, and there's a ton of Judas Priest all over this. I mean, after all, classic heavy metal bands like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Accept are going to be heard all throughout this album, just done with a little bit of a modern twist and bigger vocals that fit into that power metal realm, but they aren't too cheesy. And this opening title track certainly gets this album going in a pretty solid way. Then you get into a track like The End Justifies. This is where it starts to get a little bit more speedy, like a little more speed metal inspired with the riffs and the D-beats, almost like you took early Halloween and Judas Priest and you combined the two together. And dare I say, even some sci-fi ambience kind of pops up here on this track. And then to the track Freedom, I brought up Accept earlier. There's some influence of Accept on this track because there's some, mostly it's like triplet swings and chugging riffs, very much like an Accept song, like a modern Accept song, but it's definitely something where you can definitely go like, oh, along to, it's almost like a beer drinking kind of vibe, which is pretty cool, and after all, it's a very anthemic song given the title. And then to the song Hail to the King, not a cover of Avenged Sevenfold, no, this is an original. And this one of the more unique songs on the album because it starts off with these like battle drums and also it's a little bit folky, but then it kind of gets into more doom metal, like it's a slower song, it's got more doomy melodies and riffs and even a notable bass line during the verses. And then there's even some like triplet blues going on here. Like it gets kind of bluesy in the rhythm section. And then to Hero to All kind of gets back into a little bit more of a gallop, but with tasty melodies. And the D beats on this song certainly remind me a lot of Motorhead when it comes down to the drumming. Like it sounds like Filthy Animal Phil Taylor playing on top of a power metal song, and it actually fits pretty well. Hope Springs Eternal, it's another one of them doomy songs, but dare I say this is like the one balladish song on the entire album because it's a little bit softer, a little more on the melodic side. But I gotta say, the harmonized lead on this song might have been one of my favorite moments on the entire album. And then again, the lead work top to bottom is pretty solid throughout. Burn It Down, this one is really where the Iron Maiden influence comes in because it just gallops along like a big giant stampede of horses that are going into battle for their country or city or kingdom, what have you, and it's just perfectly fitting. Capture the Dream, harmonized melodies, and then into like a more steady rocking gallop and more of like a standard rocker, kind of like an 80s Judas Priest song. Rise of Evil, which might have been one of the more furious songs on the album, like it's very high energy, borders on thrash metal with the riffing and the rhythm section, almost like a faster Accept or Judas Priest track. And then to the closing track, Time Immemorial, more or less the big epic on the album. It starts off with this big piano piece, then it just gets into like an epic build, and there's some symphonic touches across the board on the album, but it's most apparent on this track, but the riff work still retaining more of a classic heavy metal approach as opposed to a power metal approach, which is why I say they're both like a mix of power metal and classic heavy metal. Mainly they're only power metal, I would say, in the vocal style and adding some symphonics to the songs. But when it comes down to the riffs, they are still very much on the classic heavy metal side of the spectrum. Now, as far as the production goes, it's pretty solid. I didn't see any info on who the producer was, but I'd have to imagine it was Frederick Nordstrom once again, because he's been like the main guy for Hammerfall for a long time. And while these songs are very basic in their structure, it's just verse, chorus, bridge, it definitely does work considering the style Hammerfall plays in. Although I will say, perhaps the album does kind of overstay its welcome a little bit. Like, it's over 46 minutes. I feel like maybe some of the songs could have had some of the fat trimmed off and maybe gotten this down to about 40 minutes or a little bit less than that. And I think it would have made the album pass by a little bit better or feel a little stronger. But overall, this is still pretty solid stuff for Hammerfall. Then again, I can't name a flat out bad album from this band. I'll give this a 3.5. I actually think this is actually a bit of an improvement on their last album, which I can't remember the score I gave it, but I actually think this one's a little bit better than Hammer at Dawn or Hammer of Dawn. I forget the title of it, but still, this is some pretty solid power metal / classic heavy metal from these Gothenburg legends. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.
Thank you for your patronage.